Okay, let's get started.
Just raise your glasses high. This one's sweet.
Amy,
Riley.
we're back together again.
We're back for our non-patrons. This is our first episode post-vacay.
Yeah, do you think our little turtle cuties noticed the difference when they saw all those wonderful episodes that seemed like, what's that called?
Out of time.
Where I was saying the wrong dates, like I was saying it was June 16th, and we were talking about...
I mean, I tried to stay offline generally, but the feedback I saw was pretty good.
I saw some good feedback too. I think people liked the Secrets of Something About Her episode. And then we did the Jax and Brittany Take Kentucky, but I think the 4th of July might have overtaken that episode.
Yeah.
But so, and then that New Jersey one, I don't think people liked that at all. Because people were like, we're not watching Jersey. Like, what the hell are you guys doing? But
Wow, our fans don't care.
Fans, I don't think... You let us know, Little Turtle Cuties. Are you in the Jersey hive right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Jersey's winning people over.
Yeah.
I think Vanderpump Rules and Summer House are the two twin pillars of our Little Turtle Cutie and Villa Rosa VIP fandom. And then now, you know this, but we're in the kind of summer dregs.
Yeah. Basically, we're finally being saved by OC, which is back. And we just watched it, and honestly, that was pretty good.
I was going to say it was great.
Yeah.
And not just because I want people to listen to Turtle Time throughout the entire run of the OC. I was actually so excited to be back in that world again with those cast members.
It's pretty stacked. Because when I got back from my trip, I watched the 3 episodes of Jersey that I had missed. And I was like, perfectly entertained as just like casual viewing, but I was like, I don't give a fuck about any of this.
Yeah.
Like, it's the kind of thing where it's like I'm following and it's like entertaining, like, because it's Housewives. No matter what, I'm gonna be like generally entertained. But I was like, if you really asked me if I give a shit about who versus who, I like do not care.
Okay. I didn't watch it yet. I'm a little behind. How was the Jen and Danielle fight? Did that happen yet?
Yeah, that was Sunday, I think.
Was it as bad as I think it was?
I mean, no, it's obviously it's not good. Like, you can tell that everyone is sort of freaked out about it because it's kind of like how like Portia was reacting at the reunion where you're like, fuck, like I don't want to get fired. Like, you can tell everyone's like,
oh yeah,
like Danielle's is Fuda.
Rachel
Fuda. Sorry, yeah.
No, I get him confused
Cabral.
too. Yep.
Nate
Cabral.
and when they walk away after it happens, he goes, "That was not good."
Wow.
And you can tell like what he's insinuating is like, "Fuck," like you might get in trouble.
Did she throw a pitcher at her head?
So they're fighting about the dumbest thing. Like, if you hate Jen already, it's just like she brings up like another like hairstylist thing that's like literally meaningless.
Horrible.
It's like so dumb.
That's what she's bringing to the table.
And Danielle, they're like going back and forth and they're kind of in each other's face, and Jen pushes her like pretty hard.
Wow.
And then Danielle takes the drink that's in her hand and smashes it on Jen's like face /
glass
like
break?
Yeah, shoulder. There's no blood drawn that I could see.
She smashes a full glass on her head?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
But it actually kind of, I feel like they both realize immediately that they like have to abort. Like, they just like
fight.
separate.
Right, like we can't have a fight.
And they're both kind of like, fuck. Like, you can tell that they're just like, God damn it.
Wow. How hard did Jen push?
It was hard.
Damn.
It was like kind of a yeet.
Whoa.
Danielle calls it later. She's like, in my neighborhood, you'd call that getting yoked.
Oh. And what does that mean? Just a little... I mean,
like,
a hard
yeah, I mean,
shove?
like she like fully like stepped back. It was like Lala and Kristen, that kind of a thing.
I was just thinking that. I was like, what if Kristen had a bottle in her hand and just smashed it upon Lala's head?
It wasn't good, but it's the kind of, was that the news? That was what, there was like a hiatus over it or something?
They were suspended.
Yeah.
For, I don't know, because I haven't watched, but they were suspended, I think, for a couple weeks. It's the kind of thing,
I mean, I feel toxic saying this. I'm just saying, as a longtime viewer, like, it's just funny recontextualizing this kind of behavior in the modern era where it's like, would Teresa have gotten, I mean, no one was hurt with the table flip, so that is kind of irrelevant, but like they just have to take that kind of shit more seriously now than they used to.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like before, I don't think it was encouraged. Andy always says that he's historically hated that kind of a thing, and he thinks it like sullies the franchise.
Yeah.
Which I agree.
It always seemed like it was a huge deal. Even when it happened in the past, it was always like people had to contemplate what their future would be after they did something like that. Like what you were just talking about with Portia. She knew that it was almost fireable for sure.
That one was really bad. That was the first time where I was like, whoa, like this is like sad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But in general, the lines that are being drawn on that show right now, I know. It was the same as before I left. Like we were just saying, like, I don't give a fuck about what's her name, who's like friends with Teresa again. I can Jackie. It's like now that's still the thing.
It's because all of the loyalties are fabricated now.
Yeah.
So you don't care what anybody's doing because they're not being true to themselves. They're just like vying for screen time by affixing their loyalty to whoever.
Yeah.
To create drama.
At that, I think it's the same party. The other big thing that happens is that Jackie is talking to Dolores because she's like, I guess Margaret told you I talk shit about you and like I don't whatever. And then in that moment, Margaret sends a screenshot to Dolores of Jackie in a text calling Dolores a slob.
Oh my God.
She goes, she's a fucking slob and I fucking hate her.
I saw that clip. That made me want to watch it really bad. That seemed like a great moment.
And it's
that
just
I
like,
seen yet. Wow. Yeah, Jackie is having some trouble, I think, from what I saw.
And I'm just like, dude, you do not want D being mad at you.
Yeah.
Big D.
Oh, no. Absolutely not. Well, great. Well, I'm going to get back into it, and we're going to have to talk about it because we're in the doldrums of summer with Bravo.
Right.
So I'm sure we'll be talking about Jersey and OC, and so I'm going to catch up immediately.
Yep.
I was going to ask, have you ever been shoved?
I don't think so.
Me neither.
I want to say I would remember.
Me too. I was just thinking, like, because there's so much shoving in the Bravo world. I was like, have I ever been just like shoved really hard? I don't think I ever have.
I'm really not geared towards violence. It's a lot of energy.
To wreak violence upon someone?
Yeah, I don't. My inclination is not usually rage. It's like to run.
Oh, fight or flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I run too. Yeah, I would never want to get in a
or
fight.
Freeze,
especially now.
quite frankly.
Freeze, yeah. All right, well, good. That's a Jersey. That was nice of you to recap me on Jersey a little bit. So it's not great, but it's pleasurable enough when you're binging it.
Yeah. Like I always said, I think I said this before I left. When a show is mid, it's so much easier to binge it than to watch it week on week.
Yeah.
Because you can just kind of flow through it and you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talked about this a little bit on the Patreon. I know we got a lot of comments that the day after I got back, Lindsay Hubbard at 8 p.m. Eastern on the 4th of July during peak firework hour revealed that she's having a hub cub with a previously unnamed man who we have now discovered is named Turner Koof or Koofy.
Yeah.
Kufe.
Yep. Turner Koof, I think.
Who's like a medical, he's in like bioengineering investing or something.
Yes,
like something
I
don't
so.
understand.
I think so. I didn't look into him too much. I'm waiting for Bravo to tell me who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
His LinkedIn has been doxxed.
Yeah, I did connect with him on LinkedIn just to see what was going on.
Did you endorse his skills?
He said
Sperm.
pharmaceutical expert, sperm. What did you say? Sperm
donor.
Lindsay Hubbard, proud hub cub father. I said, I endorse this. And then I wrote him a note saying, will you please connect with me? Cute. But yeah, I'm going to wait for, I think people already knew who he was already.
Yeah.
But the gatekeepers hadn't told the world yet.
Yeah, she put a brown heart emoji over his face on her roundup she did.
Yeah.
Of which I saw got mixed response of like she posted every event that she did while she was knowingly pregnant.
Oh.
It was like the dates.
That's what that was.
Yeah, and she was like, I've been told I'm the most busy pregnant woman anyone's ever met. And a lot of the comments were like, wow, like I work 40 hours a week. Fuck you.
Who wrote that?
Like a lot of people were like, pregnant women have to work all the time. And she's like, I went to 3 weddings, a book signing and a magazine photo shoot.
And I saw someone say, someone sent us that she said that I was also at something about her, not pictures.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny that she...
Yeah, she included the date, but she didn't have the photo to back it up. Even though she did have a photo. I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, it's good that she's busy as hell while she's pregnant.
I mean, yeah, good for her that she's able to do that. It's just funny that she felt the need to give us like a full accounting of her schedule for the last like 3 months.
So that we kind of had a concept of what she's been doing while she's pregnant, right?
I guess. It's kind of like it assumes that we were all very curious and interested in what she's been up to.
Right. Is she the first pregnant person in the summer house? I'm trying to think.
That we know of.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, do you want to say anything about her? I have nothing to say about her being pregnant except that we had heard whispers of this for a really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I never wanted to talk about it because it would be such a weird thing to get wrong. And, you know, you don't want to out someone for being pregnant or whatever. That would be so weird to talk about that. Yeah. But we had heard this.
Yeah, we were all over that Dumois Dorinda story.
Yeah.
Which was like in the Dumois code of like these traitor tattlers, like or whatever.
These traitor tattlers had to spoil that someone was with seed.
It was like this toast went over like a sore thumb on like in the castle. Like it was because 400 diversions.
And that's because Dorinda called up the traitors and said, hey, I know you want to cast Lindsay, but I heard from Kyle Cook that she's pregnant as hell.
Yeah.
And that spot should go to another Bravo cast member that's not pregnant because she can't do any of the challenges. So they said, okay, thanks, Dorinda. We'll go with Sierra.
Right. That's the thing I need to know. How did Dorinda find out?
Dorinda, I think I said that. Kyle told Dorinda he was calling because he was a former Traitors guy.
Right.
So he lets everyone know.
He did like a deep throat phone call.
Did Dorinda want to be on Traitors? Is that why she called Traitors?
But she is on Traitors.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
So she goes, oh. So Dorinda said, hey,
like maybe
Alex
they were...
Cummins. What's that guy's name? Who's the Traitor guy?
I don't know.
Who's the lead?
You mean the host?
Yeah.
Alex Cummings.
Alex Cummings.
Not Alex.
Okay, Alex Cummings. I don't know that guy. I've never seen him before.
You've never seen him before?
I've seen him in a couple things, but
it's Alan Cummings.
Alan Cummings. So he said, who is this? And it was Dorinda. And she said, I'm going to be on this season of Traitors, but I know that there's a certain person that's #HubCub pregnant who you shouldn't hire because the challenges are so extreme.
This sandwich-loving summertime bombshell is with Cub.
And Alan Cummings goes, say no more. Is he British?
I think he's Scottish.
Oh, sorry. How do Scottish people? Oh, well, I won't do it. But
good luck.
He goes, say no more in Scottish accent. And he goes, great. Thanks, Dorinda, for telling me that spot will go to Sierra from Summer House instead of Lindsay. And then we got that story confirmed. I don't think this was photoshopped. I think I saw this. It's like so crazy, all the disparate sources of info. But someone leaked that Dorinda, that was all true. Yeah. And then Lindsay goes, this was so sad and disappointing. Did you see that part?
Yeah. Which I'm like, wait, but like the thing I don't understand is, so was it they were all officially cast and then maybe Lindsay told someone else, whether it literally be Dorinda or someone else, and then Dorinda found out and then went to the producers and was like, I'm not doing this. Like,
why would Dorinda said, I don't want to do this?
Well, I don't know. I
think she said it should go to Sonia or Luann or something because this HubCub
I can picture her saying, this isn't right.
Yeah.
You know? So like, but it is kind of crazy that like she was willing. I mean,
well, for little turtle cuties that are like pulling their hair out because you know all the details, don't get mad at us because we just don't know. But I assume everyone was cast.
Yeah.
Steve-O, Alec Baldwin. Steve-O, Alec Baldwin.
Trisha Paytas.
Trisha Paytas. Bill Nye. Anyway, and then Dorinda finds out that Lindsay Hubbard's on the list.
Yeah.
And Alan Cummings is reading who's coming on. She goes, wait a goddamn minute. If Lindsay's with child, she's taking a Bravo slot that Sonia or Luann or Ramona could get.
Yeah.
And then they go, well, Dorinda will take your advice that she's pregnant, but we're going to fill that with another Summer House member because we love the Summer House vibe that's on the show.
I have to say, I essentially, generally, it was a fun story regardless, but I believed it because the details were so specific. And I think I already said this to you, either on or off mic, I don't remember, that it felt like Sierra was sort of, it tracks, no offense, that she was a second choice. Like Lindsay is like so like juicy, where you're like, ooh, she'd be good at that. Like sort of like conning people and like, you know, whatever.
If that's what Traitors is about, I've never seen it. But
it's like if you are a traitor, you like lie. Like you like are trying to get people to believe that you're not.
Would you do good at that?
It sounds stressful.
I'd lie my ass off in that house. I'd say, Dorinda, I don't know who the traitor is. And then I'd wink at someone.
But like Sierra, she's great in general, but she's not much of a personality that people that don't watch Summer House, they don't know who she is.
Right. I have a friend named Alex, and he loves competitive reality, and he hates Bravo. He loves like Survivor, and he loves The Mole, and he only loves competitive reality. And when he sees Bravo people on competitive reality, he goes, these people fucking suck. They're so boring. And I'm like, you need to see them in the Bravo environment. They're just real people that are fun to watch. They don't do good in this stupid, contrived garbage competition shit that you like. You know what I mean? They can't go on Survivor.
Right.
You can't watch Lindsay Hubbard on Survivor. She's not going to be as fun as other people.
Do you think she would go on Survivor pregnant? Oh. The first pregnant survivor?
I don't think that I think the rigors of Survivor are insurmountable for someone pregnant.
I agree, but so is Traitors. And she wanted to do that.
She didn't want her pregnancy to discount her from being cast.
Sure. But like she was only going to be more pregnant later.
That would have been one of the things that she gets to keep a secret.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I can't wait. I saw the clip we talked about. She's in the club with the cast rubbing her belly.
I know, I like that.
And I'm like, what is this summer going to look like? It's like, not only is she visibly pregnant, and she can't drink, she's in the house with Carl. Like, what the fuck is it going to be?
Yeah, I already can't imagine. And it's happening right now.
I know.
July 5th, I think, was the first day. So they already had their first weekend.
Yeah.
Who knows what the hell happened? Summer House is really keeping the Bravo news generator going right now.
I know. I almost feel like they need to release it sooner than usual because it's so high profile now. And like there's this timeline that's happening where I'm like, it's going to be so stale.
Yes. Also, I forgot about the Spritz Society shit that was going on with Kyle and for Loverboy. That's going to be so fun too. There's so much wild dynamics that are going to happen in that house.
Yeah. I also saw, we were talking about this before, but Hannah Berner had her Netflix special come out this week.
We Ride at Dawn.
Yes. She's doing a bunch of press and stuff, and she was on that guy Dave Portnoy's podcast. He's like a Barstool person, I think.
I've seen him. He eats pizza on TikTok. I've seen it.
I only watch, he has a pit bull named Miss Peaches, and I like her account. Okay. Not his.
All right. I've seen him eat pizza on TikTok. That's all I know.
Miss Peaches. Shout out in the comments if you love Miss Peaches too.
Are there going to be secret little hashtag Miss Peaches? Is that her name?
She's
Miss Peaches
so cute.
Oh, that's sweet.
She was like a little junkyard dog, like a little pound puppy. Now she lives the life of Riley. Riley.
What's the life of Riley mean?
It's like the life. It's like you're made in the shade.
That's what Life of Riley is called?
You've never heard that in your life? Your Life of Riley?
Life of Riley means you're made in the shade?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
I probably somewhere deep down know the origin, but I'm not sure.
So Hannah went on Dave Portnoy's and Mrs. Peach's podcast.
Yeah, she was like, roop, roop.
and said what?
He doesn't know shit about anything, so he was asking her like, wait, why were you fired off Summer House or whatever? So she gave him like a rundown, which in my opinion was false or misleading about the reason that she was not asked to return. Hers was like the victim mentality that like the cast turned on her, that she didn't do anything wrong, that like Kyle hated her guts and he sucked.
She didn't take out the garbage multiple times, and Kyle asked her point blank. He said, "Hannah, you said you were responsible for the garbage." She never did. And to spite Kyle and Amanda, she made love to Des all over their bathroom sinks and in their shower. And I think behind the scenes, she also was saying, what the hell is going on with this lover boy shit? Why can't I drink bubbly or, Mike's Hard Seltzer? Yeah. Or
she did Truly Spawn, which she was trying to act that people are trying to make that was like the reason. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think generally the fans, because I was a fan of hers.
She also accused people of doing drugs, which Kyle said was also a bridge too far, even though Kyle did end up accusing Carl of doing drugs on camera. I think,
but that was after he came out about his sobriety. Hannah was like pre-sober Carl.
Yes,
I think.
Well, let me just say, I never had that opinion of Hannah, but I want to hear. I'm going to take what you say into account for Hannah, but I just want to say I never had the harsh. I never saw the horrible side of Hannah. I knew she fucked up and had a bad season, like all Bravo celebrities do, but I would have never expected her to be fully fired after that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, she is like a superstar now in terms of a Bravo celebrity, like a stand-up comedian with a Netflix special. I mean, she's killing it now. So it was kind of a bad decision for them to fire her because she was talking about Trulies behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, as a viewer, I really liked her at the beginning, and then I in real time felt the turn, the curdle happen. So if that's what the sentiment was widely, then I would, which the reason I brought this up is because when she was dismissive about having any ownership of having a bad season or whatever, the comments on, like, I saw like 3 different posts, like a TikTok of the clip, a tweet of the clip, like an Instagram, like I saw like multiple threads where people were just popping off about her having a terrible season, which was different than the internet I've been seeing in general, which seems to really like her and support her and love her. So it was just interesting. I was surprised to see that so many people were like, no, season 5, you fucked up. So I didn't know that many people held that opinion.
Okay. All right. So they were just kind of countering her own take.
They were saying, like, you know why you were fired because you flopped that season.
Okay. Yeah. Well, unless there's something behind the scenes that I truly don't know or we didn't witness, I really didn't understand why she was, fired.
You usually don't fully get fired, especially if she still had an ally in Paige. Like, usually they would keep the drama alive and bring her back.
Yes, totally.
Right.
So I think that it was just something happened where, like Kyle wanted her off because of the drug accusations or whatever. But
people were also bringing up, I won't get into it because I don't remember it, but they were saying she said some nasty shit to Luke that I don't remember, which I'm like, I forgot about Luke in general. I always forget about him.
I mean, he was good enough for Summer House for a while, but they've, now that we're post Luke, I think they have figured out that there are other people that can take his spot, right?
Oh my gosh,
in terms of entertainment.
I don't think I've even told you this yet because it was kind of TBD, but me and Jimmy are getting temporary foster cats tomorrow.
Whose?
They're it's like Jimmy knows this like rescue that we've worked with when we've found randoms before and stuff, and they had put out a call, like an email, that they had these 2 bonded male cats that their foster is going away for like a month, but they're like happy to take them back after the month. So it's just like we're filling that gap, which I think is a good like toe in the water, because we know, I mean, we'll see what happens. We're totally ripe for a foster fail always, but it's nice to know that like they have a place to go if we're like, okay, like we're done now, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I forget which one of our friends, but said that we should name them West and Jesse.
Oh, that's so sweet. For that month?
I'm like, what if we keep them and that's their names for like 20 years? And people are like, why is that their names?
Yeah, and their names before were Luke and Andrea.
Yeah. I actually don't even know their names, I don't think.
Oh, well, you can just when they say the names, just let it go one ear in and one ear out, and then just call them Wes and Jesse.
They're like, why the fuck do you keep calling me that?
Yeah, I think that's really sweet that you're doing that.
Yeah, we've been petless for a minute now, and it's like sad. I don't like it.
Yeah, and you had your beautiful Europe trip when you would have felt bad to leave, someone behind.
Totally.
I think this is very sweet.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is that I tried to be as offline as I could the whole time I was gone, and also there was like a LTE outage in France like while I was there, so like the reception was like non-existent. I had to get an eSIM. It was a whole thing. Yeah.
Wow. So you missed all of the texts I was sending you about.
They were green.
Oh boy, no wonder you didn't respond to me sending you Dumois articles.
Yeah, and then I was texting from my email.
Wow.
Like,
I didn't know that you were off the grid.
It was showing
like
up
that.
all fucked up. I got it figured out in like there was only like 1.5 days where I could tolerate it before I got the eSIM. But I was like off TikTok. It felt really good. And then I've been back for 7 days and I've been like an absolute blob. And the number of Bethenny TikToks I've watched in that 7 days is like absolutely unforgivable.
Really?
She nonstop. She films herself practically 24/7.
She got out of her Chanel era.
It still comes up.
That lasted all the while you were in Europe, and then it just ended recently. Like, she took that to the very edge of how much you can do content. But I haven't been following. She always has her face is always like slugged with product. Yeah. So she looks all shiny, and then oftentimes she's eating like a turkey with a pickle in the middle, or like a crab, or like whatever concoction she's doing. She needs to do that crab bucket challenge again. It was just 1 year ago when we were. Remember when she got the seafood
1
bucket
potato,
challenge?
2 potato, 3 potato, 4.
She needs to bring that back. Put a bib on, put those things under her eyes again, go in a darkly lit hotel room with a big bucket.
She
and
like
plastic
used their
gloves.
tray and like their eyes. Yeah.
So tell me, is it hate, or what's it called when you look at something, you watch something ironically? Is it ironic joy that you feel, or is it entertainment and bliss as you watch her?
It's both. Like, sometimes I am just like actively entertained. I mean, obviously I'm watching it for a reason. It's also like, I feel like one of the main things with being a creator of that kind is just consistency. Oh, yeah. So like, she's offering like the same thing again and again. So like, when you get to her video, you're like, well, I know what this is going to be. She's just like ranting, eating like corn chips or whatever for like 4 minutes. Yeah. And, there's something entertaining about that. I'm also like always looking around, because she's always talking about, she has like a new Hamptons house. She talked about, she still has her old one, but she's renting it out. She did this whole thing where she's explaining the ins and outs of the Hamptons, because there's like all the different areas. There's like Sag Harbor, there's like Sagaponack, or like East Hampton, Southampton, whatever. And she did like 2 separate, very long videos talking about the vibes in each one. And now she's in some hot shit. Actually, I don't know if it's real. It's just, I'm on Twitter and stuff, so I keep seeing it come up, but I don't know if it's actually bubbled. But she made a remark about like the racial makeup of the Hamptons in comparison to like, she basically implied that like people of color are not in the same bucket as people with money. Like, I think she kind of flubbed it. Like, I don't think that's what she was trying to say necessarily, but who knows? But she just, if you talk long enough, you're going to say something
of course
fucking horrible.
Don't tell me that. We have a podcast.
We talk
every
way
week.
too much. But she's just like, like, she's like, all right, I'll come back to that. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And she's always just like, she's always doing something while she's talking. Like, in that one, she's manically drinking like an iced coffee that she had just made on camera. And then like, she didn't like the cup she put it in, so she poured it in another cup, and then like Bryn's in the background. And it's just like, it's always like so fucking nuts that it's like, it's also kind of like funny because you get attached to like every detail of how she acts. So then when someone does an impression of her or something, it's very funny because you're like, she does do that. Like there's like 20 little micro things that she does because she's so like, she's so kookaloony. So it's like, I can't look away, but I also can't deny that like it is entertaining, truly. Like, I watch them every time. I also don't know if, you know how sometimes TikTok, if you've been enjoying something and you're backlogged, it'll show you like as many as you want. Like, since I didn't watch during my trip, I think I have like a backlog, so I'm probably seeing like an inordinate number.
So it said like, oh, you just watched 3 Bethenny videos. Well, wait till you see what she was doing 2 weeks ago while you were gone.
So like, to me, I have like it's seemingly unlimited.
I gotta check back in. I see him, and I think the Chanel thing lost me for a little bit. I saw her talking about the different types of people in the Hamptons, and I skipped through it.
Yeah.
But I want to check back in. But it's not my favorite format for Bethenny.
Yeah.
I much prefer when she was on television.
Yeah.
But I love her just as much. I think she's just as entertaining. But I don't love just seeing like all the like different crackers that she likes and stuff. It's just, you know what I mean? I wish there was a little more of a filter.
Yeah.
For how I'm getting Bethenny content.
Yeah, she's always just eating like chicken salad with her eyes closed. And I was just watching one before I left to come here that she was going on a date with a man, and then she essentially like, she didn't say who it was, but she was like, he was giving me red flags, and then I ended up reading his entire divorce agreement and finding out that he was getting alimony or whatever. And I was like, why are you talking about, like, who is this guy? Like, he's just like on blast on TikTok now. Like, what the hell?
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna watch that one. If she's in the Hamptons now,
yeah,
she should go to Summer House.
Yeah.
Would that be kind of fun?
That would be nuts.
Do you think they would let her in? Kyle
like
goes
Chanel.
Well,
they'd be like, "Do you have an appointment?"
Oh my God, yeah. Or they hear the bell ring, or what is it, doorbell?
Yeah. And
Kyle looks out the peephole and he sees Bethenny standing there.
I mean, they would have to let her in. We were just talking before, we mentioned it on the Patreon, but like her and Luann met up at a party, which was the impetus for the Hamptons conversation, because she said she liked the party that they were at because it was like a mix of all kinds of people. But then she, on her TikTok, was kind of talking shit or like minimizing. She wasn't like, it was great to see Luann. Like, you know, she was like, you know, I was like, why not? Like, do it for the gram, basically. Like, kind of just talking shit. And then Luann heard that and then said on a different, what was she on with Dorinda?
Dorinda's Sirius XM show.
Okay.
Called Dorinda in the Morning.
Is that on Radio Andy?
I don't know if Dorinda has her own Sirius show, but it sounded like Dorinda was the host.
They were on something.
Yeah. Dorinda at night.
After dark.
Dorinda After Dark on Sirius XM channel 120.
Dorinda's medleys.
Dorinda's medleys, and she plays her favorite music, and then also has call-in guests. Do you remember when? Who's the person on New Jersey that some people don't like? Caroline Manzo.
Yeah.
Remember when she had that beautiful radio show? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome.
It was like people would get advice.
Yeah, it was awesome. Anyway, sorry.
Khloe Kardashian used to have a radio show.
So cool. I want a radio show.
Also, people were yelling at us. Well,
who was?
No, I couldn't believe I didn't think of it myself. When we were talking about Jackson Brittany take Kentucky, we totally skipped all the Kardashians. Kim and
what do you mean?
Courtney, Khloe and Kim take Miami, take whatever.
I didn't know those at the time.
I should have. I'm disappointed in myself.
Who? Oh, so someone
Our
commented.
patrons.
Oh, they said.
Well, they were just like thinking about all these other ones.
Okay. So that format you mean?
Yeah.
So the Kardashians,
like Muppets Take Manhattan.
So Kardashians used to take cities over when they would go somewhere.
Yes.
Would they call those specials? Like
they were series.
Oh.
Yeah, spin-offs.
Oh, like Kardashians take
Miami or New York, I think.
Whoa! And it was just them hanging out in that city?
Yeah, it was like different sister pairs.
Okay, well, I don't want to step on what you said, which is a great idea. Dorinda's Melodies on Sirius XM. She plays like "Don't You Forget About Me," and then she has Luann call in.
Yeah.
And talk about life.
Talk about Bethenny.
Oh, sorry. And then what I stepped on was that, and then Luann said on Dorinda's show, she goes, Bethenny threw her daughter Brynn at me to diffuse the situation, so then instantly I had to be nice to Brynn so that then Bethenny could come over, and then Bethenny took the photo and then she instantly posted it on Instagram of us to kind of create buzz.
Yeah. Which, you know, I just don't understand, like, why does Bethenny have to be shady to Luann?
I don't know. They're mortal enemies.
Yeah.
They've always hated each other. Like when Bethenny got her haircut and it was Luann's haircut. Do you remember that?
That was the best.
All right, good. Well, let's take a break from news.
Yeah.
And
30
then watch
minutes in.
And then let's talk about what I found to be a raucous, wonderful, almost perfect episode of Real Housewives of Orange County. I was
Off to the races.
I was having so much fun that I hope I remember everything that we witnessed because I thought it was so good and I was so happy to be watching it.
Yeah, this is fresh off of our minds. We only got to watch it the one time. So.
Yeah, so if you hear us say things that are not true or not good or wrong, yeah, completely wrong, it's just because we just watched it and we haven't formulated any proper thoughts on it.
They're going to be good.
Good. All right, I'm going to go to the toilet or take a certified turtle piss break.
It's been a while.
Yeah, all right, I'm going to do it.
I didn't pee the whole time I was gone.
You didn't?
This is the first time I
So-
will.
Oh my God. All right, well, I'll wait for you. I'm going to take a huge extra long piss too, just like you.
Great.
I'll probably take 10 minutes. How long are you going to take?
It's been about, 3 weeks?
So you calculate 10 seconds per piss. Okay, all right. Well, we'll do the math and then we'll come back. Wow, 35 minutes.
That's how long you peed for?
I was counting. Didn't you see me with the timer outside?
I had to go.
35 minutes.
That was 3 weeks of wine.
Wow. Well, good. Oh, you didn't really. Sorry to divert our attention, but for non-Villa Rosa VIPs,
Yeah.
which I don't know who the hell those little turtle cuties are, but you didn't really talk about Europe. So I'll just ask you one question. Do you feel changed now that you just had 3 beautiful weeks across Europe?
Yeah. I have to reassimilate into normal daily life where you don't just get to walk around and stop at a cafe and get a glass of wine every 2 hours or swim in the sea. I mean, I guess I could swim in the sea. My takeaway is that I need to recreate the things that I enjoyed there here at home more often.
Yeah, that's great philosophy. When you're here, you think you have to do a bunch of random shit. And when you're on vacation, you learn the thrills of life, like walking around, like you just said, around.
We live in a city that people visit.
Yeah.
There's plenty to see.
But we feel like this is our work city.
Yeah.
And why not just take some of that beautiful trip joy that you have and bring that to your own city?
Yeah.
Wow, so that's how I can justify why I'll never go on a trip again in my life. I could just do that. I could get a baguette or read a book.
You could go to Santa Monica. It's like a whole new world.
Swim in the sea. You did send me one photo from Paris. You had a beret on and you were smoking a cigarette and you were reading Jean-Paul Sartre.
Why did I know that's the one you were going to choose?
Because he's the only French author that anyone knows. But that was a beautiful photo. Thank you for sending that.
I was reading Les Miserables.
Oh, of course. Victor Fleming or Hugo Fleming? Yeah.
Victor Hugo.
Sorry, I get him confused with Hugo Weaving. Victor.
Yeah.
And Victor Fleming is someone else. The wizard. I think he's the Wizard of Oz guy.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, right. That's sorry. So Hugo.
Victor Hugo.
Right. Perfect.
No, it was great.
Yes.
Highly recommend.
Did it make you at all, when you got back, was there any, oh, I'm back and now I'm going to take on the world? Were you excited at all to be back after a recharge? No. I mean, it's okay.
I feel like I'm floating in space, disoriented about what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay. Well, I understand.
But this, I think, locking this in, recording this, I don't want to call it content, this work
of art.
Yeah.
Right?
This piece de resistance.
Speaking of Paris, or what? French works of art. Yeah. This is a work of art. So
this
being
will
back,
kickstart me back in as a person of worth.
Good. I'm so glad I'm so glad you feel like a person of worth. You definitely are.
But I can't wait for us to go when we take Europe.
Could you imagine?
You would love.
Amy and Riley take Paris. We have to make sure that there's some kind of Bravo element to it so that people pay attention to it. But of course we'll do that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our 5-year goal.
We could go to Ireland like the OC Housewives.
I would love. That's how we justify it. We say we want to do the OC tour of Ireland.
Yeah, and I'll see if I can find any of my relatives just on the street.
Oh, right. Because who does that again?
Megan King.
Oh, right. She
was like Edmonds,
yeah.
right?
She finds an Edmonds. And
Edmonds is her married.
And right. And she goes to this guy, an Irish guy at a pub, and she goes, "Are you Alfred Edmonds from the Edmonds family?" And he goes, I can't do an Irish accent, but he's like, how do Irish talk? I won't do it.
I'm not going there.
Wait, we can't do Irish accents?
No, you can, but it's scary.
All right. Well, pretend I'm saying this in Irish. He goes, "Ma'am, there's tons of Edmondses around here. That guy's name's Edmonds. That guy's name's Edmonds." And so she tries to have this epiphany about finding her roots in Ireland, and they're all named Edmonds.
It's very goofy.
The pub was
Mick Edmonds.
Yeah. Anyway, well, speaking of institutions on the OC, I loved that the Quiet Woman has become like the what's that called? The most coveted location, or the symbol of Real Housewives of Orange County. It's now official. Yeah. It used to be Javier's.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it is the Quiet Woman.
Yeah.
That is the embodiment of the OC aesthetic.
Yeah.
In terms of a restaurant.
It seems great.
Yeah, I want to go. Have you ever been?
No.
Okay. I said this at the time, so I'm quoting myself, but I was so excited to be watching this. This felt like all the culmination of OC's legacy for this 100th season. This felt like it was OC fan fiction.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there was this John Jansen new plot line that also had Alexis and Jesus Jugs in it, and it's like reckoning with Shannon's whole arc. Like there was so much OC layers to this thing that it felt like a celebration of the entire run of the show.
Yeah. Did you like that they had like stained glass and the Quiet Woman logo is a headless woman?
Because she's quiet. I didn't even get that until just now.
She has no head.
That's why she's quiet. I didn't even get that. I know it seems like we'll never go, but I really would love to just go zip on down to the OC and go to the Quiet Woman and just see what it's like for one time.
Do you think we can go? Should we go before or after you have a child?
Let's go before.
Okay.
Let's do it. So
we're running out of time.
The due date is end of August, so let's do it maybe the weekend before.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I'm free.
Okay, good. All right, me too. I just think we go to something about her and Sir and Schwartz and Sandy's every other week. Why don't we give? We're pretty local to OC. We got to go down there.
Maybe we'll get like one drink at Javier's.
Oh yeah.
I saw something on TikTok that it recently got remodeled and it's like really expensive. Like I think it's kind of considered like a cash grab kind of place.
So let's do one margarita there at Javier's, and then zip up. We won't drive. Zip up, Uber or a trolley to Quiet Woman, and then get Coors Lights and a bunch of cheap shit.
Yeah,
there.
we shan't be drinking and driving.
No, because
yeah,
that leads us to how this season of OC starts, and I was kind of stunned. It starts out with like Shannon's drunk arc for the entire season, or her DUI arc. We get like the full scenes of it and how it's going to progress throughout the season. And it starts with September 22nd, 2023. And it's like at the reunion, they were all talking about Shannon being drunk off her ass a lot.
And she's denying. She's like, "How dare you?"
She was, "How dare you? I have 2 drinks. I go to the Quiet Woman. Everybody knows me. I never get drunk there." And they're like, "You're drunk as hell, Shannon." And she goes, "No, I'm not." And then he goes, 10 days after.
Yeah. And I forgot that we had to watch the reunion knowing about the DUI.
Right. Because then, do you remember that it had a disclaimer?
Right.
It said this was filmed before Shannon's drunken ride through hell. So no questions about her DUI will be asked.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So it's showing us that this season is going to reckon with that a lot. And I didn't know. I mean, I guess it is the most impactful thing that happened to any of the cast members. Yeah. So it's kind of going through that. And I don't know if it's now that she tells us the full thing, but it's kind of just like a snapshot of like her sitting down with everyone, how many times Tamra is going to bring it up, them discovering that Shannon is still casually drinking, but telling different people different things about how much she is drinking.
They show a quick clip of which I had seen. It was part of the preview that they released before, but she shows Heather a like selfie of her bloodied face.
Yes.
Like after the accident, and her face, it looks like a bucket of blood got dumped on her head. It's like so fucked up looking.
Yeah. She shows This is just after. And I said to you, she was trying to pretend like she was walking Archie outside of her car after she had just crashed into a stone wall.
She's like,
do, 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 do. I love when nothing happens wrong. I'm having fun. Archie, come with me. And she's pouring blood all over her face. It looked horrible.
I think it's one of those things that probably, I mean, I know she ended up, what did she break? She fucked up.
She said
collarbone?
later. She said later. She goes, I had never broken a goddamn bone in my body. I had never gotten a DUI. I had never gotten a felony.
Concussion.
I'd never gotten a concussion. And then I did all 5 of those things in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's like...
But I feel like it looked like it was one of those things that like happens, like I feel like you always see it in like boxing movies and stuff. Like if you get a cut on like your eyelid, it bleeds so much because the head is so vascular.
It happens to Rocky in the first Rocky. He gets socked right in the eye and it bleeds all over the place.
It looks gnarly, but it's like ultimately not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like if you wipe it away, it's just a little cut.
But it looked bad.
No, it looked horrific.
No, it looked, but there was other cuts. I don't think it was just the eye. Like there was more bleeding.
It was bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's horrible. Everyone is talking about that. And then we get into the actual season. So they show us that, we're definitely going to be talking about Shannon's DUI. But then they give us a little glimpse of beautiful snapshots into the lives of these cast members. And I have to say, I've never appreciated the same cast coming back more than I did now watching this. Because I legitimately wanted to see everyone. Apart from Gina. Even though I will say Gina, for the most part, had a good episode. Mm-hmm. It's very rare for Gina to have a good episode. She didn't do anything. She did a couple annoying things. But the one scene with Travis I thought was actually a good Gina scene, one of her only good scenes. But apart from that, I was so happy to see Heather, Tamra, Emily, Jen Padranti. I was so excited that she gets another season.
Yeah.
I was proud. I'm proud that they said, hey, there's something here to work with. Let's just carry this over for one more season.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, we only very briefly got to meet the new woman. What's her name? Katie. I'm kind of surprised that they like full on just added her. Like, why didn't they just do friend of first?
Oh, did she get the full? Is she
I think she has an orange.
Whoa, I didn't see that. I think that this is a good time to add someone randomly. I do think it should be a friend of. Yeah. Katie should have definitely been a friend of. But this is a good time to take a risk on someone that potentially could be a flop when the cast is actually really good. Mm-hmm. When you've got 7 cast members firing on all cylinders. I don't know if it's 7, but 6 or 7. Yeah. Why not just introduce someone that maybe you think could be good, and it's not going to be a huge detriment if they're flopping like a fish.
Right.
Where it would seem like that if they bump someone up when there's only 5 of them, 4 OGs.
This comes up later, but they imply that she's been introduced by way of Sutton.
Yep, and she's already to a huge fault of hers. You can already tell she's making Heather, I've already seen from the preview, she's making Heather her enemy, which is, I think, horrendous. Because after last season, I really think that Heather should never, no one should ever have conflict with Heather again after how they treated her last season. She deserves one season off from all of the complete bullshit that they tried to pull on her last season. So it starts off with little slices of life, and this felt like a fan edit for me. It's Shane and Emily sort of rolling around on the bed, and Shane is Theragunning Emily's ass.
Yeah.
Because she had just gotten hurt, I guess, or something. But I was just like, wow, Shane is the first face you see besides Shannon in that montage on OC. How powerful he's becoming.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
I love it.
Do you remember when we met him at BravoCon? He was so nice to me. I have a photo with him. It's so iconic. He goes, of course, get it in here, big guy. Take a photo with me. And he's holding a beer and he's pointing at me. It's so sweet.
He's great.
I love him. And then there's more stuff too.
It's Shannon in yoga joking about that they're making him hold plank too long. We get Heather and Terry in their house always, talking about making money, building houses.
He goes, should we get a helipad?
Oh, right.
And she goes, Terry.
And you're like, oh my God, you guys, come on. Enough's enough.
Yeah, you're rich.
Gina's making her kids meatballs or some shit. I don't care. Tamara and Eddie are pretending that they have a sexual relationship and are talking about a cock ring.
She goes, did this cock ring fall off your cock? And he goes, no. And then she kind of rolls on the floor.
Right. They also say at one point that they're splitting their time between Big Bear and OC.
Yeah. There's an undercurrent of a lot of stuff going on. Even though this was a fun episode, there's a lot of like financial stuff going on with a lot of the cast members.
Right.
Like they're all at a sort of a crossroads, I think.
I feel like I feel like OC is built on that vibe because it was born out of like the financial crisis.
Yes,
and then
it was.
like when you see like Lynn getting evicted or whatever you call it, foreclosed on, that was like iconic as far as like culture goes, because it was like, I feel like the first like reality reckoning of like the financial crisis.
Yeah. It was
know?
like The Big Short.
Yeah. It was
Right?
like they were keeping up with the Joneses, but they were not
Lynn.
keeping up. Yeah.
Yeah, Lynn. What was her name? Curtis? She got that at Curtin?
Yeah, and she had to like sell those like bangles she made by hand to keep their family afloat.
Yeah, so Tamara is splitting her time between Big Bear and the OC. We get a little bit of Jen Padranti, and I was very shocked because Jen is talking to Tamara, and I was like, no one treated you worse than Tamara last season. Like, she was the biggest villain to you the entire time, bringing up all the shit with Ryan, treating you like shit. She brought you onto the show and then treated you like absolute shit for a full season. But I guess in the off season, they repaired their friendship, and she's,
I guess,
you know,
yeah.
Jen seemed a little like out of the loop this episode, I felt.
Yeah, like what is her place?
Yeah.
She's so vulnerable, like to attack.
Yes.
She's like a mouse in a snake den.
Who's the biggest? Well, I know the biggest snake. Who's the second
Tamara.
biggest?
Honestly, maybe like I like Emily, but like I feel like she will take you down.
Yeah. And she really, when Emily can be pretty villainous. Like when they show that, like her making fun of Heather last season, I was like, what the hell were you doing?
Yeah. Well, Emily, joins them, Tamara and Jen, at the gym. She reveals that she's lost 40 pounds.
Right.
And I respect her. She goes, it was a bunch of things, a little Ozempic, a little lipo, and a lot of working out. And I was like, thank you. Like, thanks for sharing. I like that.
Yeah.
She looks great. She looks healthy.
But people are honest now, right?
No.
They're not.
I feel like the only one I can name that has named it is Dolores.
And Dolores said everyone is on it.
Yeah.
She goes, anyone you think that's on it is on it.
Yeah. Which, like, I don't give a shit.
Really?
It's
So
just
Dolores
wild.
and Emily are the only outspoken Ozempic users in the whole Housewives universe?
I
Because
could be
Erica was
wrong.
early. Erica
Right.
was, because remember, but she wouldn't admit it. She said
Yeah.
it was, she had
Yeah, she said
experimental
it was like
hormonal
something
therapy.
else. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good. So you, okay. So I'm not,
I mean, I haven't been as in the loop, but those are the only ones that I recall, which again, I'm like, I don't give a shit. It's just like, it was interesting when Crystal brought that up on her season of like, it's crazy to just like have an environment where like, I felt it particularly watching New Jersey because the frames of these women, like we met Jen Fessler at that event.
Oh, yeah.
And she has like the tiniest frame. Like I'm like a big person. Like I'm 5'10" and like, you know, a strong and tall, large woman. So when I meet women that are that fucking small, I feel like I can like crack them in half and I'm like, oh, like, are you okay? Like she's just so small. And you look at these women, their frames are just so tiny. And you're like, this is like just a wild world we're living in.
Yeah. Did you hug Fessler?
Maybe a little bit. It was kind of awkward because she knew I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, Oh, anyway. Yeah. Okay. So I was not going to give Emily that much credit, but if it's still news to say that out loud or to be truthful, then that is awesome of her. I'm very proud. I thought that it was almost an open secret and almost everyone acknowledged it, but I think you're probably right to just say those words.
Yeah, I think
It's
at the
Ozempic.
time she said that like kickstarted it for her, but I don't know if she's still on it. But anyways, who
And
cares?
then they're kind of doing two scenes back to back. So it's the gym people talking, Jen, Tamara, and Emily, and then Shannon's home life with her daughters.
Yes.
And they're juxtaposing these two scenes where they're talking about, you know, each other.
Yeah. So basically Shannon's an empty nester.
Yep.
All her girls are at college and she's upset because historically she had taken both of her other daughters to college, but she couldn't take the one that just went because she's on probation.
Yeah.
And she's going to school out of the country and she can't leave.
So you can't leave the country on probation from a DUI.
Yeah, I think if you're on probation in general, you can't.
Wow.
I don't know about leaving the state. state. I think maybe if you're like on trial, you can't leave the state.
Okay.
Because you're like a flight risk.
I was like, so if you had a trip booked to Paris and then you drank a bunch of cocktails and drove your ass around and got a DUI, you'd have to cancel your trip to Paris?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. And then she's crying because this is now her opening up to the world, her first scene, talking about the absolute humiliation that she's suffered for the last 6 months or however long this has been you know, going on.
And her daughters are being sweet. They're like, you know, you live and you learn, and you know, they're being nice to her, which is, you know, I have empathy for Shannon. I'm kind of afraid to watch a season where everyone just shits on her forever about this.
Oh yeah. No, I have empathy for her as well. It's a horrible, horrible, reckless decision. She could have hurt people. She could have hurt herself, but it's unfortunately, it's a human thing, and it's horrible. And all the advice they're giving her, I think, is true. That you'll learn from this, you'll move forward, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's an awful thing that she did. But I don't like write her off as a human, as a morally evil person for this. And I didn't feel that way at all watching these scenes with her.
I mean, it is wild. They show the clip of her reacting to when this happened to Gina. And saying, they have a clip of her saying, like, there's no reason in 2020, whatever, for this to happen. Like, there's Uber, there's like, it's inexcusable. There's no reason. And it's just like,
she's speaking off her high horse, holier than thou. And then she said, I'm a complete hypocrite. And this is when she tells the details to, I think, her daughters, or no, in her confessional. Yeah. She's like, okay, so she was drunk as hell at the Quiet Woman. John Jansen was like, quiet down.
Quiet woman.
You're a drunken idiot right now. Yeah. And she goes, I'll show you a drunken idiot. She gets in her car, which I guess it was very available to her, right there outside of the car. Outside of the Quiet Woman.
Did they say they were at the Quiet Woman?
Oh, I thought she was. Oh, okay, maybe she wasn't. Oh, she was at his house and she left?
I think so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Maybe they'd gone there earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know where the Quiet Woman. Okay, you're right. She was. Okay, sorry. They had a drunken fight at his house. He goes, you're a drunken idiot. And
he said, you're a drunken idiot. Don't get in your car. And then she does get in her car, and to defy him, she revved her engine to show how pissed off she was.
She thought she was like a badass Hell's Angel. Yeah. Right?
Vroom, vroom. But if we know anything about Shannon, that is too much action for her.
So then you saw the footage, and you see that she took that curve way too sharply, you know, right after, I guess, leaving his house. She took that curve, and then that's when she slammed into that thing.
Like, immediately.
Yeah. Okay, all right, that makes more sense that it wasn't outside of the Quiet Woman.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I added an extra Quiet Woman lore when it didn't need to be there. It was his house. Yeah. Okay, she slams in, and then she talks about that. And then they cut back to the gym people talking about this same shit.
Yeah, and it's revealed that she was, like, kicked out of the Tres Amigas tour because Tamara reveals to the other women that backstage at the tour, while Shannon publicly was saying that she wasn't drinking, she saw Shannon sneaking booze into her drink.
So Tamara left the Tres Amigas. Tamara left. She said, once I heard that our show was all about drinking and like drinking games and stuff, and she heard Shannon lying her ass off that she's not drinking, and then she looked over at the beautiful Tres Amigas green room when they were all, you know, partying. She looked over, and Shannon was sneaking vodka into like a Diet Coke and then getting drunk. And she said, this is too horrible for me to take part in. Yeah. But that's Tamara's version. You know, we don't fully know. But I do remember that instantly the Tres Amigas shows were like canceled, and then it became the Vicky and Shannon hour or whatever.
Right. So then Tamara's all pissed off, and she's like, she could have killed someone. She could have killed her dog. And then it cuts to Archie in the living room. I was like, don't cut to him.
Yeah, and Archie, you can tell he's really sad.
Poor Archie.
Yeah, and then no one has reached out to Shannon. So this is kind of, this is the odd part to me. Shannon is a fixture of OC. She's been on for what, 7 seasons, 8 seasons? I really don't remember. She's like one of the 3 main cast members on this show. Were her relationships with all the cast members so fickle that the minute she did something wrong, she has no ride or dies anymore in her life? Right. The entire cast now, it shows that she doesn't really have strong relationships with anyone. Right. Vicky, who's not on the show, Tamara immediately wrote her off. It's like, I can't deal with your drunken mess. Emily and Gina, she never had a good relationship with. She doesn't know Jen very well. And then Heather and her aren't good.
Right.
So it really kind of left Shannon completely on an island. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's like, no one reached out to me. And no one also reached out to me when they found out that John Jansen, was dating Alexis.
Right.
It's like the biggest news in the OC universe.
Right.
So they're not reaching out to her about the DUI shit, and they're writing her off as a human.
Yeah.
And then they're also not even consoling her about this huge news with their ex.
Right.
What
They were
her
all
ex
just
is
like
doing.
plotting how Alexis would be involved in the season.
And then this was interesting to me. We get the Johnny J story.
Right. The Johnny J juice.
Yep.
She says that a while after the DUI, 10 days after.
So after saying you're a drunken idiot, she drove into a stone hedge. 10 days after, he broke up with her by saying, you ruined my life and my family's life.
Yeah, he said he was cutting her out of his life, and she ruined his life because of all of this public attention.
And John Jansen hates attention.
Obviously.
Right?
And then how long after that?
6 weeks later,
Okay.
he went to the Quiet Woman. And this was beautiful. I forget, is it Alexis who's telling the story now? Because they put that beautiful edit on it?
I don't think that's happened
okay,
yet.
All right.
But
Well, that was a beautiful scene. That hasn't happened yet. But 6 weeks later, he started dating Alexis, and they love each other more than, life itself.
right. And then it comes up how, which I didn't quite realize was going to be such a plot point because I had forgotten about it. John Bellino sued Tamara and Shannon in 2018 over comments they made during a podcast, that feels like 4 billion years ago. Like I don't even remember that.
They on the podcast. Yeah, I didn't. We kind of followed up on it a little bit, but like they were talking shit about his business or something, and he sued
Right.
them for defamation.
Right.
So,
Which apparently cost them like a fuck ton of money to deal with the, that court system.
yeah. So on lawyers' fees or whatever, they couldn't get into the particulars, but they said, I think Tamara said that she lost $500,000.
Right. And Shannon lost 300,000.
I mean, oh my God, we got to watch what we say.
Seriously. It's scary.
I mean, please never sue us. So Shannon, now you learn that Shannon, as the episode goes on, that's really the thing that she it has an issue with about Alexis, or with Alexis about, like that's her main issue, is this defamation suit. It's not so much about John Jansen.
Right. And then Tamara is all fired up, and she says that because Shannon's not cleaning up her side of the street and like being honest about her lifestyle, that God sent Alexis as karma.
Yeah. She said God looked at Tamara said God looked at your life, Shannon, and said, if you don't clean up your life, I will steal your ex-boyfriend and giveth him upon Alexis, a former castmate.
We were joking that we're like, God watches Bravo. So messy.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great plot point that he created to get back at Shannon.
Do you think when Vicky was like, I'm like Jesus on the cross, he's like, oh, hell yeah.
He goes, I love this show.
Jesus drugs? Oh, shit, I'm in.
He said, I love this show. And then Shannon said, she said, I'm working at the church, community service. He's like, whoa. He's like, maybe I'll get John Jansen and Alexis to break up.
Yeah.
This is kind of blasphemous, but that's okay.
Well,
Shannon... What? Shannon says, I love this. Shannon, after that, Tamara says that God is smiting. God is smiting Shannon for her past behavior. Shannon goes, I'm not a victim in this whole thing, and I don't care that Alexis is on the show now. I'm not going to let her stop me from going to any event. I'm going to walk right up to her. I'm not going to hide in a corner, and I'm going to confront her anytime I want. And I was like, hell yeah, Shannon.
She said, enjoy my sloppy seconds.
Did she say that?
Yeah.
I didn't hear her say that.
Yeah, she did.
Whoa. Okay. All right. Then, you opened the can of worms on this scene. So we get Heather and Terry's sort of real estate adventures, right?
Yes.
House what's that called? House renovation?
Yeah, they've bought yet another property in Beverly Hills, and they make a meal out of introducing all of their contractors. Like they get like a slide show.
It goes Zach. He's the guy who runs the logistics. Ohad. He knows the prices of every place like Zillow. Mike. He knows the backyards of every Beverly Hills house. And then they show them.
Yeah. Which I don't know if this is actually the case, but it was giving like Terry and Heather real estate or renovation spinoff.
Yes. Once you said that, it's like the show had a new edit all of a sudden. And it was like fast paced, talking about all the prices.
The budget.
All the budget stuff. So it does seem like they're setting up Terry and Heather having that kind of like,
yeah.
What's that called? House flipping.
Yeah.
Like real, like
they did have, what was their show on E? Was it something about like surgery or something?
I don't remember. I don't know. I only know that one that you tell me about, Botched. With Terry.
Yeah,
but
they had something together, but it wasn't Bravo.
So they left that home that was their dream home for $55 million.
Yeah.
And then I don't think they like their new home.
They bought that condo in Studio City or whatever, or sorry, Century City.
Yeah.
Which apparently they still have, but it's only 2 bedrooms, so they need more space. So they bought this like mega mansion in Beverly Hills, but then they also, they said they rented a place at the Balboa Bay Club, which, do you think that they like literally had to do that for her to be allowed to be on the show, or just because she's going to be down there so much?
Oh, you're saying that she had to have one property in the OC to justify it. Wait, so she's living at that Balboa Bay Club that we saw at the final party?
Yeah, which I guess, I'm assuming it's like sort of like a country club that has like apartments or like place, like you could stay there.
I don't think so, because that couldn't be a condition for a lot of other people. Only Heather has enough money to have a Balboa Bay apartment that she doesn't live in to keep one toe in the water. I think that's just maybe Heather wants to stay connected to the OC, and she has enough money to do it.
Also, if she's gonna have to film down there for
maybe
2
it's like,
months, then she has to have somewhere to stay.
Yeah. And then they're showing this house in Beverly Hills, and they're like, this house is from the 40s. And she goes, if these walls could talk, she said, apparently Cary Grant used to live here, and even Charlie Chaplin, she said, the little tramp.
Everyone says that about everything.
I know. The first apartment...
Marilyn Monroe has been everywhere. Charlie Chaplin's been everywhere.
The first apartment I ever lived in, I think I told you, in West Hollywood, they go, this was Charlie Chaplin's house. I go, the little tramp? And they go, yep. They go, yeah, he lived here. Because it was right across the street from that. It used to be that studio or whatever.
Right.
It became...
That's for sale.
What?
The Muppet Studio. Can we buy it?
Formosa? The lot at Formosa.
Oh, sorry. I
used
meant
to be...
the Muppet one on La Brea.
Oh. Yeah, let's buy it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We could finally have somewhere to record.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
I'm sure it's reasonably priced.
What, for a studio?
Yeah.
Yeah, Amy and Riley Studios. I would love that. So she goes, if these walls could talk. But Charlie Chaplin never said a word, so what was she talking about? Okay, and then, there's a gong in it at the end. And she rings she bangs the gong, and then they kind of get out. But it was definitely, I think, setting up what you said. Sort of like Heather and Terry are sort of on their own show in a way.
I mean, I would watch that. I ate it up it was so sad when she left the show and we didn't get to see the finished house for like years.
Right.
Like the audience was chomping at the bit to see that finished mansion.
Yeah, you know what happened to me? I just binged the entire thing, and so it took me like 1 week to get to seeing that beautiful house.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, then we get Emily and Gina, the dynamic duo, hanging out. Emily is also renovating. She makes a little gag here. She goes, my kitchen was stuck in the 90s, kind of like Shane's wardrobe.
And then they show Shane, and he goes womp womp, and it shows him wearing like Billabong long shorts, and a hoodie or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's kind of that. I love that fun camaraderie they have.
I think they're in it to win it.
Shane and Emily.
Yeah.
And then she says this thing later. I have to remember it, but she says that I can't break up with Shane because he would leave me, and he would get a hot 25-year-old instantly.
Yeah,
that was awesome. His
little sober ass. He's a little sober Mormon man.
Oh, he's sober?
Yeah.
I said he had a beer in his hand at BravoCon, but I don't think he did.
He is sober, right? He's Mormon.
I didn't think he was sober, and I didn't remember that he was Mormon. Is he?
He's Mormon.
He's Mormon? Practicing?
I think.
He should go on Salt Lake City for a day.
Crossover.
I don't know if he's an active Mormon. That might be a little turtle cutie and Villa Rosa VIP question. I think
Tell
he
me
drinks.
if I'm wrong. I don't think I made that up.
I think he's doesn't love to drink.
Should I look it up while you vamp?
Okay,
like
yeah,
the
sure.
little tramp?
Yeah, I'll vamp like a tramp. Oh, and then I like this. Gina was like, I'm selling Elizabeth Vargas's house. And I was like, who the hell is Elizabeth Vargas again?
Oh, right.
And then everyone reminded me Elizabeth Vargas was on the COVID season. And apparently she's selling like a $9 million house in La Quinta. I was like, damn, Elizabeth Vargas.
I know.
And
I'm
then,
like, damn, that's going to be quite a commission.
and then Gina starts to talk shit to Emily. She goes, I knew Elizabeth Vargas, or I saw Elizabeth Vargas's brother, and he said that he saw Shannon at Bevmo or some other place where you can buy liquor, and she had a cart filled with booze getting ready for a New Year's Eve party.
Oh, right. Okay, this is on BravoTV.com. He also confirmed that he does not drink alcohol. No, I've never had an adult beverage.
Oh my
He
God.
said, I never do because I'm not much of an adult. I like juice boxes.
That's why he had a juice box when I saw him. Whoa. Okay. So wow. Okay. He did not have a beer.
And he's Mormon.
He's a practicing Mormon. He doesn't talk about that. Wow. Shane is, there is so much more to him that I don't even know. Gina talks about this. Gina talks about how Shannon treated her like absolute shit when she got a DUI.
Yeah.
So she's like, Gina's like, I don't want to, take pleasure in people's misery, like Schadenfreude. But I can't help thinking that this is sort of like Harambe's code, in which it's sort of like an eye for an eye situation, similar to the Hammurabi code. And you and I looked at each other and we go, what the hell did Gina just say? And we looked it up, and she's quoting Hammurabi's code, one of the most famous examples of the ancient precept of lex talionis, or law of retribution, where the phrase an eye for an eye comes from. And we thought, did she just know Hammurabi's code off the top of her head? Because I had never heard that before.
Is that like Mesopotamian? Like, how old is that?
It's the oldest precept of retaliatory justice known to man.
Do you think her ass just knew about Harambe?
I was thinking, is that in the real estate exam? It's like some of the real estate terms are Hammurabi's code. If people know more about Hammurabi's code than us, let us know. But I thought that was like Wikipedia. Like she just was like, I'm going to say the perfect thing.
No way.
Anyway, I mean, maybe that's more like, what if you and I are just like out of the loop on Hammurabi? But anyway, she's saying, I'm not going to take too much Hammurabi's code pleasure in this, but it is interesting.
Did you see on the wiki for an eye, it says in Babylonian law, in ancient Greek law, in Hebrew law, in Roman law, Islamic law.
So they have all adhered to Hammurabi's code. One of the oldest.
I don't adhere to an eye for an eye.
Really?
I don't live by Hammurabi's code.
You turn the other cheek?
Is that what Jesus did?
Yeah,
See, I like that.
He set a new code.
He's cool.
Hammurabi was out the door once Jesus came in.
It's a little rough for me.
Who?
The eye for an eye.
I know. I don't believe in it either. I think, well, let's debate that on Patreon. Let's debate that on Patreon. Okay, so then where are we at? This was bad. Gina and Emily were getting in their kind of their silly, we're friends, thick and thin.
Yeah.
We're kind of like, two best friends, and they start kind of going a little too in on Shannon. And I think the audience, we don't have that sort of Schadenfreude, weird, evil spirit towards Shannon, and they're kind of like taking a little bit of pleasure in it. And Emily does this really bad joke, completely in ill taste, of an Archie impression in the back of Shannon's car. It's like, what the hell was Archie doing in the back? He's probably like, oh God, I'm a dog, and my mommy's
10 and
drunk.
2, Mom.
It was like, ooh.
Which literally, since we watched it, it's already been memed. I think people embraced it.
They like it?
Yeah. I'm just like, I want to hug Archie.
Oh, I hated it. I thought it was awful to even think about art. It's only sad to imagine him in the back of that car.
I don't like it.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, what? Damn. All right.
And this is where we get the reveal that Gina is having relationship problems with Travis. She said he's bringing his baggage to the table. Apparently, he's like can't get through to finalize his divorce. All of their kids are living together, and they can't afford to upgrade or upsize to a bigger house. So they're all just like, I don't know, smashed in this house, and seems like she's just personally over it.
Yeah, I think it's like she's not saying like what 40% of it is, which is like they're like falling out of love. So she's blaming it on a lot of external stuff. But she also says that they can't get divorced. Like it's still such a messy divorce. And she says she's basically living with Travis's ex-wife because she's so like enmeshed in this situation or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, what was, I kind of want to know more about Travis's like horrible marriage or whatever. Like,
Right.
what the hell happened? I could never imagine that guy just having this like, I mean, you know, maybe he's just showing himself in a different way, but like
Right.
I can never imagine him having this like horrible, messy
Right.
divorce. He doesn't seem.
Meanwhile, her former marriage ended like violently
Yeah.
and like scarily, and she is saying that they're co-parenting better than ever, and it's not a problem, and it's great. And so I don't know. Part of me is like, I feel like she's finally, because now she's doing this real estate thing, has like some freedom. Like she's finally on her own 2 feet, and she's like, actually, like I'm good. Like I don't need you anymore. Yeah. Which like, I mean, whatever, people grow apart, but that's I feel like what she's not saying.
I think so. I think there's more reasons that she's not sharing, and she's kind of blaming it on the living situation, and she's expecting that once they separate, that their relationship will just end.
Yeah, that's the thing. She has decided, she brings it up here and then again later, that like her solution to this is that they should live separately. Yeah. With the intention to come back together if possible. But I'm like, you don't like uproot kids to live separately. Like even if you were just two adults, it's weird to move out with the intention to move back in.
How old are Travis's kids? Around the same age as hers?
I assume.
Okay.
Like hers are like 12.
Yeah, and she said that they've all been living in like bunk beds, and they show the bunk beds, like it's like 6 bunk beds in that one room or whatever, and she said they're all starting to get bigger, and they can't tolerate that type of environment. They need more like private space.
I mean, I guess I was trying to do the math. We were trying to remember, we think she owns her condo.
We do. We know. She did.
Okay.
She owns it.
Because I'm like, in my brain, I was like, if you really wanted to make it work, you could like rent out your condo and then like rent a bigger apartment for the two of you. But if you're not into it, you're not going to do all that.
So really, she's just kicking Travis and his family out of her house?
Yeah, she's like, you got to go, bro.
That's what it felt like. But without telling him.
It was a real bummer.
And we'll get to it, but there's another scene. But Travis is really sad. Like this was not in his.
And you can tell he like is like kind of embarrassed that it's on camera because it's like too dark. You know?
Yeah, he's bummed out. Then I won't say this very long, but there was a commercial break that I was so excited because I was already liking this episode a lot, and then all of a sudden a commercial came on where Heather Dubrow got a letter from Ryan Reynolds, and then Shannon got a letter from Ryan Reynolds, and it was like, please, Heather and Shannon, come to the premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine. I was like, what the hell is this?
I love when it's like, you know, that like in no world will the talent ever actually be involved. I guess with Deadpool, it could be anyone. They could, in the next commercial, it felt like there was going to be a follow-up.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like a series.
Yeah, but like they could have any MF playing Deadpool. He's wearing a mask.
Oh, so you're saying Deadpool could have been...
He could swing in.
He could have been upside down in their kitchen saying...
Yeah, but you'll never see Hugh Jackman.
Oh, doing that kind of stuff?
Well, I just mean
mask off.
Yeah, it would have to be him.
Do you think Ryan Reynolds watches Bravo?
Maybe.
Okay. Then we get a scene after the commercial. It's Jen Pedranti and Ryan.
Yeah.
Pedranti. And I forgot about Ryan.
Ryan Pedranti.
I forgot about Ryan. I remember how we felt about him last season, that he's a mini Louis waiting to pop.
Yeah.
He
comes in hot at Javier's or whatever they're at, and he orders a Malibu rum it's a cocktail of Malibu rum and Diet Pepsi.
Yeah. A Pepsi Malibu, it's called. And then the guy goes, coming right up, Ryan, because he knows his order. And then this was bad. Jen is in a rough.
Oh my God.
Jennifer is in a rough spot. Does she like Jen or Jennifer? Jen.
Yeah.
Jen? Jen's in a rough spot. So this is what happened to Jen in the off season. She got a home, rented a home.
She had to move because her house that she was renting got sold.
Right.
So then Gina helped her find a rental house, and she currently is getting evicted from it because her ex was helping her pay the rent.
Along with her dad?
Yeah. And then her ex apparently stopped helping.
Because he lost his job at the family company. I remember this from last season. It's like there's some family element. Either Jen works with his family and she quit, or he works with her family.
He works with her family, which is why it was awkward for her to leave him because he was so enmeshed in their lives.
So it made it even worse. And then Jennifer doesn't really explain. Well, she does. But they were $24,000 delinquent on the rent. And she started getting lumped in group texts with the owner going, hey, dad. She was like, Jen's dad. Well, Jen's ex-husband, you guys owe me $24,000.
Yeah.
And it wasn't getting paid because they're all in financially dire circumstances. So the guy goes, get your ass out. I'm evicting you.
She said that the yoga studio doesn't pay her enough. She makes $50 a class. So.
And then Ryan goes, so my thoughts on Ryan. This is my thoughts on all Bravo people that we think are bad. When people like Ryan, they don't show any emotion or they don't do anything irregular because they know if they show the parts of themselves, we're going to think that they're really weird. So he is like an absolute robot in this scene. Like he's completely devoid of any personality.
Yeah.
Just like how Louis acts on Jersey, where you're projecting this version of this wonderful, perfect man that you think is going to wow the audience because you don't want people to know how like devious you are.
Yeah.
And that's what Ryan is doing in this scene. He got all the blowback from last season when he was sending dick pics to his entire family on Snapchat or whatever. So now he wants to be completely devoid of any spark. And John Jansen did this too.
Yeah.
John Jansen was just like devoid of any emotion because he knew if he showed anything, he would look like an asshole.
Right.
So anyway, and then he goes, why don't you live with me, babe? Nothing's wrong with me. We're going to be the best couple in the world. And she goes, I'm kind of scared, Ryan. I don't fully know if this is going to work out. He goes, you're thinking glass half empty. Why don't you think half glass full, darling? And she goes, Ryan, thank you.
He goes, what could go wrong?
And it's like, that is horrible. I feel so bad for Jen that her wagon is hitched to Ryan's star.
Yeah.
And they just got engaged. It's only getting more and more serious.
This season is leading up to that beach engagement.
Yeah. So those were my thoughts on Ryan. He was acting like a complete robot.
Yeah. This season's also leading up to his involvement in the Dodger interpreter gambling scandal.
Right. He was a part of Ohtani. You were telling me about this.
Shohei Ohtani, our new star. His interpreter got fired or took the bullet because
he was doing what again?
He was like
betting on his friend.
Yeah, but it was kind of like implied that like since it was Ohtani's money, like sports people cannot bet, obviously.
Because if Ohtani was like drunk and hungover before a Dodgers game, that translator, what was it? His translator could say, I know he's drunk as hell, so he's not going to pitch.
Yeah.
Good.
I think it was more like the funds being like, he was basically like, it was a question of whether the translator was betting on his behalf or not. Oh,
right. Okay. All right. So Ryan is caught up in that scandal and they show previews where Tamara's like, have you seen the FBI at your door lately? So it seems like it's going to get really bad. But
Can't
then
wait.
we go. Oh, yeah. Sorry. We go to a scene where Heather invites Emily to a bar, right? And this is where Emily is going to get to meet Alexis for the first time.
Yes. Because Heather keeps saying, I've been friends with Alexis for a long time. Like, she's going to have this party and she's like, Alexis is going to be invited. She's a friend of mine. I'm like, then how come you haven't invited her to any of your other fucking parties this whole time?
Yeah. I haven't seen Alexis at any of the other events you've thrown.
Yeah.
The hundreds of events you've thrown since the Alexis era. But to be honest, it's less ham-fisted than a lot of these friends coming back in. I can buy that at least, that they,
sure.
you know.
Yeah, it's just funny that like she called Shannon and she's like, I just want to let you know that Alexis will be invited as she is an old friend of mine. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Did you like how Heather started out the conversation with Emily?
What the hell was going on there?
Heather starts out like fired out of a cannon. She goes, Emily, have you been on Instagram lately? And Emily goes, yeah. And she goes, have you seen these I'm getting a lot of these reels of mother and son wedding dances. And Emily goes, yeah, you probably clicked one. You probably clicked one and they knew you liked it. And Heather goes, I know, but have you seen them? And she goes, anyway, she really, really likes.
It was very out of left field.
She really likes these dances. And she goes, could you imagine giving your son over to that hoe? And then all of a sudden Alexis arrives. And then that kind of Instagram talk gets kind of tamped down.
Yes. Heather throws Alexis a bone and says that Alexis has had a really horrible year. Her mom recently passed away. So I guess Heather's trying to like set the stage for us not to be like completely anti-Alexis.
Yeah.
They go, show us this ring that we've been seeing that Johnny J gave you. And it's like, I couldn't really see it. It's like, it looks like it has maybe Roman numerals.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
It's 2 J's. It says,
well, because whatever it is, they show it, and then it goes, she says, November 18th is the day he walked into my life. And this is where you get the romance.
Will you say it and I'll do the music that it was doing? It was like going.
She's like, the quiet woman. And she's like, yeah. It's like all vibes. It's giving like noir.
Yeah.
And she's like, we tried to fight the feelings, but we couldn't deny it.
She goes, yeah, out of all the restaurants in the OC, he walked into mine.
Which she also is like, I know that Shannon likes to act like she owns the quiet woman, but I've been going there for 2 decades.
Yeah, and she says that she was in a booth, and she goes, John Jansen slid in that booth immediately. And she goes, we tried to fight it, but we just couldn't anymore. And she goes, I don't know Shannon like that. I barely ever met her. So that doesn't mean anything to me. The heart wants what it wants.
Yeah. And then she brings up to Emily that she had heard a 2 T's in a pod clip where Emily called John a doucher. And she said that hurt her feelings. And Emily's like, you know, all I hear is all this bad shit from Shannon that he never pays for anything, all this other stuff. And Alexis goes, do you trust a drunk who just got a DUI? So like, she's like completely brainwashed. Like she won't hear a single bad thing about him, even though it's like, is there any part of you in your mind that is like, wow, I've been targeted by this weird man who dates OC housewives?
Yeah. And they don't say in that beautiful story, that Casablanca-like story, that he obviously went up to her because he knows her from the history of the show, and she knows him from the history of the show. So they immediately got to talking because they have this OC, fandom in their past.
And like the fact that he told Shannon that he never wanted to be on camera, that she ruined his life because of all of this public attention, and then to just immediately date someone that was going to cause the most news imaginable.
Yeah, and then Emily's like, John Jansen sucks or whatever, and then they show this clip of the one time John Jansen was animated, which is that's my theory or whatever, and he's going, fuck Gina, fuck her, she fucking sucks, and you don't need her in your life. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, he sounded awful. And she goes, that was one instance. Like, Alexis tries to tamp down that one bad moment of John Jansen on camera.
And then the producer asks Emily in the confessional, the producer's like, is he a douchebag, or do you think he's a douchebag? And she goes, yeah, he's a douchebag.
He's so clearly a fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
And that whole fake pretense about not wanting to be on camera is obvious bullshit.
Yeah. And then Alexis is like, once you guys get to know him, he's great. And she goes, he's my Johnny J.
And they go, Johnny J. And Heather is in her fun era. I'm loving Heather this episode. Yeah. She goes, Johnny J is the best rebrand that I've ever heard since mayo became aioli. I was like,
that's
damn.
Such an almond mom thing to say. She's like, you can't fucking fool me. I know that's mayonnaise.
Yeah, but doesn't aioli have like sprigs of...
Yeah, it's like flavored mayonnaise.
But it was
like classy mayo.
But it is true. That was a rebrand. They got us. I was like,
J. She acts like she's like, hey, Mister. Like she's like Betty Boopified.
Yeah, Johnny J.
Johnny
Jessica
J.
Rabbit.
Yeah, totally.
Johnny J. And then Alexis goes, well, you know what? I don't care what Shannon's gonna do to me because I love Johnny J. and I'm not gonna play into her spiraling around me. So it's kind of like Alexis is like, Shannon won't get to me, and then Shannon had already said Alexis won't get to me. So they're kind of like they're gearing for a standoff.
Yeah. Then we quickly see Shannon at her lawyer's office, where we just get the lowdown that she has 3 years of probation, 9 months of alcohol school. She's doing community service at her church. We watched like 1 minute of her on Watch What Happens Live after this, and she did reveal that she said she has to blow and hum to start her car.
Oh, wow.
Which it's so shocking to me, the like mechanisms in place. I'm like, there's like technology for that. Like I was just, Anna Delvey, that like scammer.
No, a scammer.
There was like I forget what it was, maybe like New York Magazine or something like that. There was like a viral, she's like a viral scammer who like, it was similar to like Firefest vibes or whatever. Like she just lived a phony life where she would stay. She infiltrated the art world and stayed at like expensive hotels and never paid. And like she ultimately did go to jail.
She did.
But it was for such like essentially victimless crimes. Like, so it was like,
I want to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So like the internet just kind of loves her and thinks she's funny because she, she's a criminal, but...
Was she played by Julia Garner in that Netflix show?
Yeah.
That's how I know that, but I didn't even watch that show.
Yeah. She went out recently in public wearing an ankle monitor, and I was listening to another podcast, and someone called in and said, like, you don't even need to wear that shit anymore. They have, like, like Apple Watches for that. Like, there's, like, better things, but I think she liked the visual of it, so she was like, give me the, like, Lindsay Lohan, like, jank ankle monitor.
Wow. So they had to like dust it off in the courtroom.
They're like, that's weird, but okay.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. So that's Anna Delvey.
Yeah. But so I'm always just like shocked that I'm like, whoa, people like have to blow into their freaking car to start it. It's so crazy.
It's not that big of a deal, but she does say like the guy's like, we can get you to plead not guilty and not make this a felony anymore. And she was like, I want the full, retribution. I want to adhere to Hammurabi's code. And the guy's like, you don't have to adhere to Hammurabi's code anymore. He goes, it's right if you do all this community service. And she goes, okay, I'll probably do that.
I don't want any special treatment. And I'm like, it's not special treatment if like any good lawyer would like know that that's an option.
And he goes, all you can do now is share your story to any other drunken people that want to drive their car out. Make it worth sharing. And I was like, that's beautiful that lawyer said that.
Yeah. Okay, then we get Tamra in the car with her daughter, Sophia.
I was shocked by this.
I know, who's freshly 18, which kind of threw us for a loop because we were like, wait. Like, is this the daughter that doesn't talk to her anymore? But it turns out that's a different daughter.
Yes.
Who shall not be seen.
Right, Sydney.
Yeah.
Sophia, and you could tell, Sophia is not used to being on camera, it seemed. She was like very hesitant to talk about the things that Tamara wanted to talk about, kind of nervous to be on camera overall. Like, I don't think she's used, she hasn't been on it since she was like 8. Yeah,
because Tamara says, we, the audience, haven't seen her in 10 years because her dad, Simon, wouldn't sign the agreement to let her on camera, but she's been living in that house the whole time.
So she's just like secretly living there.
Right.
Like when cameras, she's like, can I come out of my room now? Cameras are done.
Yeah. But yeah, you can tell she's like uncomfortable. Like when she brings up Simon, she goes, I don't want to talk about him. When she brings up the other daughter, she's like, I don't really want to talk about that.
Yeah. Tamara, I need to know where Tamara's mom is.
Oh yeah, she's fun.
Yeah, she was such a fixture last season. She was in their house the entire time.
Yeah.
They're getting tattoos too.
Yes.
That's a part of the scene.
Yes, which I immediately referenced her son Ryan's nugget tattoo, which they then pulled the clip, which I always like when my instinct is the clip that is pulled.
Oh yeah, I like that too. It was so cool in the room.
But yeah, he if you recall, when they go to Tahoe or no, what's that one lake
Bass
Havasu.
Lake. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Bass Lake is the
I'm sorry. Havasu.
Gretchen.
I'm sorry. Havasu. Okay. They went
But
to
yeah,
Havasu.
he has Nugget tattooed on the inside of his lip because, I mean, I'm just saying what happened. He says that his girlfriend had a miscarriage and that he got Nugget tattooed on his lip to honor that fetus.
So she said, I didn't used to like tattoos, but now I love that my children are expressing themselves. And then she wants to get angel numbers, 111, written on her, and her daughter's going to get a moon. But then Tamara says, when I look at the 111, I always wish, like when I see it's 111, in the afternoon, I pray or wish that my daughter Sydney will come back into my life.
Yeah. All three of her second marriage children.
Yeah.
Ryan's like, not 1111.
Oh, right. But I didn't think that each one stood for one child, did it?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh,
but
okay.
I guess it's just her wish hour.
Yeah, it's the wish hour. But she could have said 11:11. But no, I think I don't know why she did it. We'll have to ask Tamara when she comes on Turtle Time. But then that's again when Sophia goes, I don't want to talk about my sister, and she goes, you should be talking about these things with a therapist.
Right.
So Tamara really wants to have pivotal emotional scenes with her daughter, and Sophia's not the sounding board for
like
those.
Her
She's not
woke kids better than her weird son.
Oh, wait. You like Sophia and Slade more than Ryan?
Little Slade.
You
What
like
did we decide his name was?
Spencer.
Oh, Spencer. Yeah, Spencer's sweet.
I know, I loved him too. So you like them more than Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, good. So then that's kind of it. She's kind of just
imply
shutting.
that her other daughter doesn't even fuck with the other kids either.
Yeah, and then Tamara's kind of rubbing it in on the other daughter. She's like, you and Spencer are such good friends. You have a beautiful relationship, kind of saying that Sydney is the odd daughter out.
Which is kind of sad, like that she cut out her siblings too.
Yeah, all for Simon Barney?
Yeah. Is
What
he
the hell?
sick?
Oh, God, sorry.
Is he okay?
I don't know.
Last I heard he was unwell, but I don't know.
Oh, God, I didn't know that. All right, we get another Gina scene. And this is when she's kind of talking about everything that we just talked about. But I actually think it was one of Gina's best scenes that I think I've ever seen. Or like actually a good Gina scene. She didn't do anything that annoyed me. It felt real. It didn't feel like she was overacting. Yeah. It's just her having a really hard conversation with Travis about that same shit, right?
And you can tell she's like actively sort of panicked about this.
Yes.
She brings up to him on camera that she just found an apartment that he should check out, or a house that he should go look at.
That's so sad. She's looking at the apartments to put him and his family in.
I know, and he like doesn't want to go. Like, she's like, do you think that this is the right thing to do? Like, do you agree? And he's like, no, but like, I guess we have to just decide if it's what we're going to do and
his
get it over with.
Yeah, his eyes are brimming with tears. Yeah. They're all red. And then Gina's like kind of red too, because I think deep down she knows this decision will end their relationship. Yeah. But this is how she's putting it to them.
I know. She keeps saying, she's like, I don't want to mess up this whole scenario and lose you in the end. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, you know that she's like, please leave me.
Yeah. And then she's giving him this like olive branch or whatever, a limb to hang on, which is like, even you doing this or thinking about doing this, like makes me think our relationship is doing better than it is or whatever. Yeah. Like kind of saying that there maybe will still be hope after this.
Yeah. She's kind of pulling a Carl.
In what way?
Like, she's like, no, like, we'll figure it out. Like, we'll work it out. Like, because she hasn't grown the balls yet to be like, it's not working.
Little Carl shade. This is kind of a Summer House infused episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All the news we talked about.
You know, I ride for Carl. He just didn't come to the conclusion quickly enough.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I felt bad for Travis. I don't know Travis too well, but I do like him generally. Of all of the horror show, of all of the significant others on OC, I actually think nice. I like Travis.
He's like a normal person.
Yeah.
Should we just go straight through to Heather's party?
I think we should.
Okay. So immediately, Gina's being shady about Heather's party, saying it's like there's too much going on, there's too many requests, because she's like, write a wish on this card on the wall, and it's
the lamest, absolute lamest things to criticize this party for. There's a lot of activities.
Yeah.
Like when we go to a party at Heather's house, she makes us go to work.
Yeah.
It's like just so like get over it.
Yeah.
Stop making fun of Heather. It's so lame to me.
Also, she orders a Red Bull, which is then, because it's Heather, is served in a wine glass with a straw. And I'm like, knowing that it's Red Bull in that glass is so sick. It's like piss colored. Like it's like so nasty.
They should make it a different color.
Yeah, why does it look like that?
They should,
but you never usually see it because it's like in a can.
Well, I was kind of embarrassed when you were talking about that because I pour my Red Bulls in a wine glass. But it should just be clear. Yeah. Red Bull on ice.
Jimmy drinks Celsius every day.
Oh my God. I drank one of those with you on air and it
went
threw me to the
crazy.
moon. I couldn't go to sleep until 4 a.m.
Actually?
Yeah, that was the episode where I was screaming my ass off. I drank a Celsius and I couldn't go to bed until 4 a.m. How does he drink those?
He drinks like 2 or more a day.
You're not supposed to.
Well, he does.
I looked at the Celsius app and it says
The Celsius app?
Here's what happened. I was lying awake at 3:30 a.m. and I said, why the hell can't I sleep? I thought Celsius's had the same amount of caffeine as a Red Bull. I looked at the Celsius website and it said never ever drink 2 Celsiuses a day.
What?
I swear it did. It said it's 3 times the caffeine of a Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bulls are for wimps.
Really? Do you drink Celsiuses?
No.
Okay. Well, I
But
can't
he
believe he does that.
Wanted them abroad, and they sell Celsius powder packets, and he brought them to
my gosh.
Europe, and you would just get a water bottle and pour it in and shake it up.
Does he drink coffee in the morning?
Sometimes I feel like Celsius generally has replaced coffee. It's kind of like we don't have a good coffee setup in our house, really. Like it's not like coffee's on, like we kind of just like get it when we want.
Oh.
Like I usually go out into the world to get my coffee.
Okay. Would you like a better coffee setup at home? Or would that not be a part of your life?
We do have an espresso thing with like the pods.
Oh, okay.
So like we do have it, but I kind of like, it's like the thing that like gets me out in the morning to like go on a walk.
I like it for that, but I enjoy coffee too much right when I wake up to where I've invested a lot of time into my setup.
Yeah.
It's called the barista brain. Ooh. And I get to pretend like I'm a fancy barista every morning.
That's fun.
Yeah.
But the man on the beach when he was making his Celsius packet was joking with us and said, Jimmy fatigued.
Oh, because he's so tired that he needs Celsius powder.
So now we're always joking about that he's fatigué.
That's great. I love that. Wow, that French person knew how tired he was.
Yeah, we were all joking and it was great.
Only in Paris. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so great. So then we didn't mention it, but there's Katie. She doesn't really need to be remarked upon because this isn't a spotlight of Katie yet. But I will say she didn't offend my sensibilities too much this first episode. I feel like I've had much worse first impressions from a lot of different housewives just from seeing them for like 5 minutes. Katie didn't do anything wrong, in my opinion.
She didn't really say anything.
She just wasn't a part of the episode.
Really, yeah. Yeah, she's drinking a Red Bull. Then we get
kind
a
of
little.
they're arriving.
Yeah. We see that Emily and Shannon got together the night before, where Shannon says that she has a 2-drink maximum. So then they're all kind of talking shit about Tamara goes 2 drinks per hour.
Yeah,
and they're like talking shit.
Tamara is, I would say, I have harsh feelings towards Tamara. She actually didn't make me that mad this episode because I do think that what Shannon did is so horrendous that of all things, of course, Tamara is going to talk about this, but she's almost going overboard in terms of how much you can like make fun of someone for doing this. You know what I mean? She's just on the edge of being like taking glee in this happening, like Emily kind of did a little bit with those jokes.
Right. So, I mean, speak of the devil, Shannon arrives, and I have to say, she looks bomb as hell. Like, she's potentially never looked better.
I'm glad you said it.
She looks fantastic. She's wearing like a hot black dress. Her body looks banging. Her tits are up. I'll say it.
Damn, you're saying it. And she does
Her
physical
hair and makeup
humor.
looks good.
Yeah, and you told me that Shannon does physical comedy, and I never put that on her. But then she does physical comedy in the van. She goes, I can't get lines in my dress, so I have to sit like this.
Yeah, I just opened my phone during our piss break, and Watch What Happens Live had posted they open her dressing room, and she's holding a bunch of oranges, and she drops them.
No, really?
Yeah.
Is she being funny or?
Yeah.
Or, oh my god.
She's like, whoa.
Total. We were speaking about Charlie Chaplin. She has total Charlie Chaplin energy.
Totally.
And then everyone is whispering about how Shannon is going to have to meet up with Alexis. And we find out that Alexis is okay with Tamra because Tamra and Alexis met up at BravoCon.
Right.
And buried the hatchet for that like OC legacy panel that they did or whatever. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So anyway, so now Alexis is like okay with some of the members, but everyone is waiting for this showdown between Shannon and Alexis.
Everyone's being kind of awkward when she enters, and then Gina's the first one to talk to her, and they kind of, I guess, bury the hatchet, and Shannon apologizes to Gina just in general.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's just been this Cold War with Shannon and Gina, and I think that Shannon just treated Gina like shit for her first 3 seasons because she thought she was going to get fired any day now and never and never put in the work to establish a relationship. And now that Gina's on her 7th season or
crazy
6th, I don't know, somewhere around there, because she says she's known Shannon for 7 years. I think Shannon is finally like, I need allies. I don't hate Gina that bad.
Yeah,
like, I'll just apologize to you, a blanket apology for everything I've done. And Gina is astounded. She's like, whoa, are me and Shannon going to be friends this season? Because kind of the ball is in Shannon's court. Yeah. You know Gina would love to be Shannon's friend.
Yeah. It's always funny when you see someone actually take an apology and be like wowed by it. Because I'm like, it really could have gone either way. Like, you could be like, talk is cheap, you know?
Yeah, I do think Shannon... for some reason, people really do trust Shannon, and I do too. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, she's had so much conflict with everyone. People like hate her, and people love her, but she's pretty honest for the most part. And she's
not like conniving. She
gets away with a lot. Like, I don't know why, but I find Shannon to be so endearing, and I trust her when she apologized to Gina.
Yeah. So she's basically like, you know what? Like, because Gina's like, girl, like, the last thing she says is like, I think this is all bullshit. Like, the Alexis thing, like, she basically is like, that's fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, I know, but what are you going to do? So she's like, I think I'm going to go talk to Alexis right now. I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm just going to go up to her right now. And Gina's like, good for you. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And so then she like waltzes over. You can tell Alexis has like sort of like frenetic energy, like she's like darting around, like I think she's like very afraid of having this conversation. For sure.
Because Shannon kind of just stayed in the middle of all of the cast members having this talk, and Alexis is sort of just bouncing around knowing where the action is but not taking part in it. So I don't think that she wanted to have this conversation yet, but Shannon goes right up to her and says, can we please speak outside?
Yeah. And she's like, oh, okay. And Emily's like in the background, like, red alert, red alert. And Heather's like, is it wrong to watch? And they're all like pressed up against the window. And then Shannon goes outside. Alexis is walking ahead, and Shannon is essentially just speaking to production going, can we move this table into the shade over there? And she just starts dragging a metal table across the concrete, and it's like, and the producer's like, no. There's a cameraman showing. It's like just total chaos. Like, she commandeered the setup.
Yeah. Like, so I have to posit what this was. We said in the room that they wanted it to be right in front of the windows so that everyone can see easier, but there's no way. When do they ever make that accommodation that the cast members can all peek in a window? So I think that they weren't just set up for that like much of a sunspot.
Like,
maybe they wanted it inside somewhere or something. And Shannon wanted to go outside, but she just like grabs the table. She's like scraping it, like
Alexis has to like offer to like pick it up on the other side because it's just like,
this is the kind of fourth wall break I like. I like how Shannon breaks the fourth wall. I like that she looks in the cameraman's eyes and says, can I move this? And just like this is the kind of, it's not too much of a fourth wall break.
And then so the first thing she brings up, which is surprising because you obviously think she's going to say something like, we're going to need to coexist with this John Jansen shit or whatever, but what she brings up is the lawsuit. And she goes, you were involved because, you know, at the time of the lawsuit, she was already divorced from Jim Bellino. But apparently, according to Shannon here, Alexis sent the cease and desist.
Yes.
And her signature was on it.
Yes.
And she's like, you know, whatever, like, she's like, I have to just bring that up. You know, we're not going to be best buddies or whatever. And then Alexis is immediately like, I don't want to be best buddies. And she's like, this is always going to be uncomfortable because you're the ex and I'm the new.
Yeah. And she so I think Alexis pre-wrote what she was going to say in this fight and thought that they were going to have the John Jansen conversation. And Shannon pulled the rug out from under her by only keeping it to the lawsuit, which is like unexpected, a twist.
Yeah.
I was like stunned. And Shannon keeps it on the lawsuit, which is a huge thing to focus on.
Yeah.
Just for that, you would have a grievance against Alexis.
Yeah.
So she kept it framed all within that, and Alexis kept trying to bring Johnny J back in.
Yeah.
Shannon didn't say his name once.
Right.
So then, so I believe Shannon that she got that cease and desist from Alexis, but then Alexis starts to try to pick it apart, like say, oh, I'd have to see the actual paperwork. Like, you know that you sent that cease and desist.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, remember when that woman, I don't even remember who she was. Was she a friend of or not even, when that woman had sued Terry? And then
and then Heather was mad because they were brought around the house. Was that Dr.
I think
Jen?
Shannon brought a woman that sued Terry for botching her surgery,
that was
and
a friend
Heather was
of.
like, that's when Heather was like, I will kill you.
Yeah.
Remember, like, she was like, I will come for you.
Yeah,
And
she was
every
a-
penny you have or whatever.
That was a friend of last season. That person didn't work out.
Yeah. I literally can't even picture them anymore.
Right.
But I remember like Terry or Heather had to pull her aside and be like, are we good? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
And Heather almost wanted to shut down her sushi party filming
Right,
because
she
she
did.
couldn't let those allegations
she like
be on
threw
camera.
all that sushi away, the Nobu sushi.
And you and I said, to be by the trash can that night,
Hand it
like
over.
2 little raccoons at that beautiful Malibu house. If
my
I could have
God.
been near any garbage can
Seriously.
one night in the history of the world,
Yeah.
it would have been that Nobu
Oh my God.
garbage.
Yummy.
So I do love, because it kind of frames the whole argument. Shannon is sticking to what she is pissed about.
Yeah.
And Alexis says, I want that dead and buried. I don't want to talk about that because that's evidence that I haven't prepared for. And I didn't think this fight was going to go that way. So I have nothing to counter that. All I have is my pre-written lines about Johnny J.
Yeah.
So then she goes, well, yeah.
Yeah,
you can
she's
say-
like, because she's like, whenever Shannon tries to interject, she goes, Alexis is like, it is my turn to talk.
Yeah.
And Shannon's like, your signature was on the cease and desist.
Yep.
And she's like, Alexis is like, move on. And
Yeah.
she's like, are you going to write me a check for $300,000? Because I'm not moving on. I'm still out of that cash and I'll never be over it.
Yeah, and it affected my life. It affected my family's life. It affected my finances. That was a huge deal for me, and Alexis won't even enter that into the
And
conversation.
Shannon's like, by the way, John Jansen was by my side that entire time, and he knows what I went through about that, so that just makes it like extra fucked up.
Yeah.
And Alexis is like, we all know the real issue is he's my boyfriend, and she's like, move on, and if you don't like it, there's the door, Shannon Beador, which like you're like, how long and hard did she rehearse that?
Oh, Johnny J and her did a full-blown cram session 2 nights before and wrote the shit out of that scene. I loved there's the door, Shannon Beador. I was so happy about that. And it ended up in such a flop argument, a pre-written piece of shit line that it fully kind of negates that brilliant line because it came out of nowhere.
What was the original? I probably already asked this before, but her tagline where it was like,
when one door closes, another. But no, it was much better than that. When
it was
don't close the Beador. Oh my God, I have to know it. I have to say it. Shannon.
Yeah, it was like when God closes one
Beador.
Beador.
Wait, how would you even search that? Beador. You have to say Beador twice.
Shannon.
Oh, when life gives you lemons, put 9 in a bowl. wait. Oh,
Door.
Beador.
Tagline.
Oh my God. People will. Oh, I've closed the old Beador and opened a new one.
Okay.
So Alexis had that pre-written line. It still hits pretty hard. There's the door. Is that what you said? There's the door, Shannon Beador.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Alexis flopped so hard in this first argument. I thought Alexis was.
She's not good at this.
No. And I gave her a lot of credit going in. I actually liked her scene with Emily and Heather. I was like, this is pretty good. She's not doing so bad.
Yeah.
But this showed the fire, like why she was ultimately fired from the show. Because this was Shannon. It was like a 10 out of 10 Shannon performance.
Yeah. And then she's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And she starts to run away because she's
Alexis,
like out of options.
Once she gets there's the door, Shannon Beador off, she immediately runs away.
Yeah, she's
and
like,
Shannon,
I got to be done. That's all I have.
I know, that was awesome.
Shannon's like, you know what? Like, I'm glad that you took him. Essentially, like, you took him off my hands. Thank God. Like, he sucks. I'm
she
so
finally adds the Johnny J element to the conversation.
Yeah, she goes, I'm thankful you took him. And then Alexis goes, I'm thankful he left you. I'm like, oh,
geez,
like,
Alexis.
Rude.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. And then they kind of scream at each other a little bit. Shannon looks right into the camera and says, "Perfect." Then she goes, "Fuck her."
Yeah, she's
fuck
kind of like
her.
mumbling to herself.
Shannon fucking killed it this episode for coming back off a DUI, the most humiliating thing you've ever done in your life that everyone in the world should be rightfully mad at you for.
Yeah.
And the whole cast hates you. Shannon fucking brought it this episode.
Yeah, without allies.
Took us to the lawyer. Had the confrontation with Alexis, and Alexis got her ass handed to her.
Yeah.
Moved tables around to justify her own scene that she wanted in the sun.
It's just like, I hope that... because if basically everyone agrees that Johnny J sucks,
yes,
I hope that it comes up quickly that they're like, Alexis, like, he sucks.
Yeah. Shannon start firing on all cylinders against Johnny J. What the hell kind of shit did you witness in the 3 years living with that piece of shit?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, good. Damn,
Team Shannon.
Team Shannon. Shannon made a horrible mistake, which we'll always put as an asterisk on her legacy. But we have to, just like we said, the opposite of whatever that eye for an eye code was. We got to adhere to new laws. The Bravo laws. I wonder if I saw
any ancient artifacts during my trip that adhered to the eye for the eye.
You probably did. There's that beautiful Hammurabi fountain in the middle of Paris,
it's
right?
Like the Da Vinci Code. It's like hidden.
Yeah. It's a statue that holds two eyes. And then when Da Vinci decides what the code is, Hammurabi's code, he takes one eye off for an eye, and then that hand lowers and it creates a secret tunnel.
Cool. And let's
write a book called Hammurabi's Code. And it's like, remember, were we going to do a Da Vinci Code movie? We talked about doing it.
I love it. I kept saying throughout my trip that stuff was Da Vinci coded.
Oh, it's so Da Vinci Code over there in Europe. It really is. I was only there 12 years ago, and I don't remember shit from it, but I remember it being kind of Da Vinci Code-esque.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
clues everywhere.
Well, I would say for Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs, I think if you were on the fence about OC, if you've never watched it, or you think that this is maybe going to be a bad season, I think this ripped.
Yeah.
I had such a fun time. Almost every scene popped and was fun.
Yeah.
So many great moments.
I feel like I will make Jimmy watch this one.
Good.
Because me and you watched it together, so he didn't get to see it, and I feel like it's worth being like, you should see it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. So get on the OC train, with us, and we're gonna try to watch Jersey and OC and whatever slot Bravo wants to give us for the summer, and then to tide us over until the heavy hitters come back. But I think OC is actually going to be really good.
Yeah, no, it looks bomb.
So be with us. Have a Turtle Time summer where we watch OC together.
Yeah, and then if you really are just like, I need Vanderpump talk, we have it in the background, but you have to pay.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to pay us $5 a month, which is the price of a cup of coffee.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky in our current prices.
I was telling you, I went to a freaking coffee shop to continue my French experience and get a croissant and a coffee, and it was like $17.
My God. So we're a third of that, or even less if you can do math right.
Yeah.
So for $5 a month, you get access to 4 exclusive episodes that are over an hour long, right?
Yep.
Plus, you get to be in the beautiful oasis of the Villa Rosa VIP program, where we comment on stuff. It's so nice. Sometimes we throw up bonus content up there that just has no rhyme or reason, just a bunch of random stuff. And I think it's a fun, place, especially if you need more Vanderpump Rules in your life.
It's a beautiful comment section, message board. People share funny and insightful shit on there.
Yeah.
Everyone's nice. Nobody's mean.
Yep.
If you want to get off of Twitter and Reddit and all those nasty places where people say horrible shit when talking about these shows, come over to our place. Everyone's very reasonable, even when they disagree.
Yeah.
Very reasonable.
Constructive. Even when there's disagreements, it's very constructive. And normally I'm like, oh yeah, our Villa Rosa VIPs are right about this for sure. So I think it's very fun. And then the last thing I'll say is that I think that we were off for 3 weeks, and I don't think that content it wasn't topical or whatever. But we're back now. And if you like this episode, you're listening to us for the first time, and you've never reviewed, please go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave a review if you liked it, right?
Yes. That helps us. Subscribe on YouTube. We upload a video there every week if you want to see us too.
Look at, for our YouTube heads out there, look at Amy and I right now.
It's true. You can see us in, questionable quality. It's pretty good. It's okay.
It's okay. I mean, that's one of the things that we'll definitely do better once you and I are more of an established podcast. But I think it's
if you
good
join
enough.
our Patreon, we can buy a real camera and not use my old iPhone.
This one's going to look like absolute shit, by the way, because
it's
the lighting.
nighttime.
But, YouTube, you probably just put your head down and just listen to us, right?
We can get what are those lights called?
Oh, those lights. Like
Lights of any kind would be good.
We'll get anything and different mics. We have a wish list of what we're going to get when Turtle Time becomes
2025
better.
goalposts.
Good, and we just vamped enough to end with 2 hours.
Great.
All right, Amy, I feel good that you're back. I'm so proud of us. I think this was a good episode, and I'm proud of us.
Felt comfortable.
We're back at it, and Turtle Time is fully back with no more breaks unless something horrible happens to Amy or I. All right, so anyway, we'll let you go. Sleep tight tonight, and we'll see you next week or on Patreon on Monday.
Bye.
Bye.
This one